All right, everyone, we finally have a sane Democrat that's running for the presidency. Yes, RFK Jr. has filed his paperwork for the primaries of the Democratic Party. This it leads to an interesting situation. He's considered a conspiracy theorist by the Democrats at large. The left right now is livid about him entering the race. They still harbor fever dreams of Bernie somehow getting in there. I think their hope is Biden doesn't run, and the unipartyist side of the Dems end up represented by fucking Kamala Harris, who is beatable within a primary. Without an incumbent, of course, you actually are going to have debates and stuff. And there's the rub. If Biden runs, and it's still 50-50, I think he's more doing the wait-and-see McClellan-style thing that he's famous for doing. I think that's based on polling. It's based on what happens, certainly economically, also to an extent, I think, with diplomacy, and who gets in the GOP field. Who would he be running against? I think Biden fears running against Trump. I think that's partially why we're seeing unfold what's unfolding now. They're focused on RFK Jr.'s views with regards to certain medical topics that you have to be careful about mentioning too much on YouTube, because they don't like public discourse anymore. It's no longer your YouTube, it's fuck you self. Anyway, there are some views that he has that are legitimately wonky. But if I was a Kennedy, I'm like, well, JFK gets shot under odd circumstances, and then the person who shot him gets shot, and RFK daddy gets shot. It seems to happen a lot to my family, and not a lot was done by the government to stop it. Maybe at some point you're like, hey, maybe the so-called conspiracy theorists have a point. And so he's doing his thing. He is, in my opinion, likely to rise up to about the same level as Williamson. Now, she's managed to crack into the double digits. That shows how weak Biden is. The incumbent, supposedly most votes in human history, great guy, he's doing all these wonderful things. Now he's got not just a leftoid opponent, that's Marianne Williamson. She's Jill Stein with a D after her name. Not only from the left, but now also basically, in some cases, a more centrist Democrat. Again, he has some of those out there views, and he is still on the left wing of politics, all things considered, but seems to be rather unorthodox, oddly enough, for being part of a massively dynastic political family. At least seems behaviorally to be more on the ideological outside, the fringe, you could call it, of the uniparty system. Not really part of the club, despite, again, literally being Robert Kennedy Jr. Feel the dude's been mistreated some with regards to news coverage. Another thing of note, the legacy media doesn't want to talk about the fact that he filed the paperwork. You're not seeing that on the front page of CNN right now, are you? There's probably a reason for that. What they want is for there not to be a significant primary for the Dems. Even if Biden doesn't run, they want to grab up whatever unipartist, maybe Buttigieg, Kamala, Gavin Newsom, whoever looks best right out of the gate, coronate them effectively, and try to basically freeze out all the other candidates by ignoring them. They don't talk about Marianne Williamson much for the same reason, again, despite the fact that technically, if Biden does not run, she would be within the realm of viability, technically speaking. If you have Buttigieg running, I would favor him probably to win. But if that happens, they don't want them in battle. They want a very quick and clean process. Meanwhile, they dovetail that with attempting to create a very messy process on the other side. We'll be talking, by the way, about one of the uniparty con jobs currently going on that I foresee. And it ties in with what the Republicans, unipartists of course, are doing right now with regards to their sword rattling on political prosecutions. The race heats up. You now have Trump facing off against several individuals. As the incumbent, again, we don't know if DeSantis gets in. There also Rans. Nikki Haley, she's not going to make the cut. Ramaswamy, technically, ideologically speaking, the best of his opponents, is a blip on the radar. Nobody knows anything about him, etc., etc. On the other, you might get Christian. On the other side, now you do have two candidates. Marianne Williamson is far left. RFK Jr. is more part of that centrist group, but he's ideologically outside in other ways. Again, less of an authoritarian in certain important metrics, actually. He'll probably get some applause, by the way, cross applause from DeSantis fans, because some of them are fans of him because of that one particular issue that they wrongfully blame Trump for. It has to do with a form of mandates that we won't mention in any further detail. I'm interested in seeing what kind of platform he'll have, though. Now, I'm not considering voting for him. I'll be voting for Trump. At this point, I just can't look at someone being maligned in the fashion that Trump is by everyone within the corrupt nexus that I know is corrupt and not support them. Because, I only get one chance at this. I don't care whether Trump wins or loses, by the way. I will still vote for him. There's no one else to vote for. And that includes RFK Jr. Again, if you're going to party with the Democratic Party, it wouldn't matter if he gets in as an ideological maverick. I think that they would be able to put that genie back in the bottle fairly quickly. After all, we're seeing what they can do to anyone who steps out of line and who doesn't want to start the next profitable war for Raytheon and so forth, who does not want to impose the next authoritarian mandate. We're beginning to see just how far they're willing to go when they're willing to jail the former president and the current frontrunner of a mainline party on frivolous bullshit charges that, again, we will analyze further as far as the opinions on that go when you get to that point. And then you won't even tell people specifically what most of those charges actually are and what wrongdoing was done. You've double-crossed the Rubicon now as of the last 72 hours. How far are they willing to go? Some people are saying, well, maybe they'll try to JFK Trump. Well, maybe they'll try to do that to RFK Jr. if it looks like he's going to be a viable threat to Joe Biden. They've done it to the Kennedys twice before. Maybe he's doing this. He's like, okay, I'm older now. I'm going to let them take the shot at me too, just to fucking prove a point. The whole world will understand that something terribly wrong is going on at that point. That would be very interesting. I hate to tell you this, but it ain't beyond the realm of the pale when we're dealing with a uniparty that does the things that it's been doing. It's a monstrosity, a globalistic abomination trying to sell our country downriver and Chinify the entire world, effectively turn the entirety of civilization into China Light, where people have just the bare minimum of human liberty, but ultimately at the end of the day, anyone that really is out there, they just get snuffed out. And then they get Stalinized, quite literally. They're going to be a video later as well. My new tech exclusive is going to be on their attempts to Stalinize history and ways to countermeasures to impose to try to stop them. Yeah. So then there were three. Presumptively Biden, or whoever the uniparty prefers if he stands down, versus the far-left Williamson and the kind of kooky, but at the end of the day, arguably more palatable RFK Jr. It'd be funny to see. Some Republicans would probably cross over to vote for the dude again because of that single issue, unless you have DeSantis in the race. That would be funny. Maybe he's trying to be a spoiler. He'll run an independent Kennedy candidacy and end up giving Biden the re-election or something. These are weird, weird times, and politics right now is really morphing, and the old sort of barriers between political groups, they've been completely thrashed apart, and they're beginning to recongeal in very, very strange ways. Interesting and intriguing. That's about all. Peace out.